Working with your spouse or kids can be one of the hardest parts of running a family business, but the team at HiFloat has been doing it for decades. Now, 3 generations strong, selling their well known HiFloat and HiShine products to balloon pros all around the world. I'm Sarah Meyer, host of the Bright Balloon podcast, and I help you make more money and eliminate stress in your balloon business. And in this episode, recorded in person at the Sempertex International Balloon Convention, I'm joined by Andrea and Aiden, the mother-daughter duo that makes up part of the HiFloat family. They're sharing real-life tips for working with family, defining roles, and making decisions based on fact, not feelings. By the end of this episode, you'll know how to better manage your own family balloon business, whether your spouse helps out occasionally or you're ready to bring the whole family on board full time. This episode also kicks off an entire month sponsored by HiFloat, and that means they have curated a fabulous lineup of guests for you. So let's get into our first episode of the month with Andrea and Aiden of HiFloat. All right, welcome, HiFloat family, back again. Let's kick it off with introductions. Tell us names and what you do at the brand.
All right. You want me to go first?
Sure.
So I'm Andrea Cash, and I am the CEO at HiFloat. Second generation. My parents started the company 40 years ago, and I've been there just over 31 years.
That's exciting.
And then I'm Aiden Cash. I'm Andrea's daughter. I'm the marketing manager at HiFloat, and I have been working for the company kind of in an official capacity for 1.5 years now.
That's
So
exciting.
Third generation.
That's exciting. So remind us, I know Philip was on the podcast and he talked about kind of how, who was it? Was it your dad, your grandpa?
My parents, actually, my mom owned a balloon delivery business back in the day, in the mid 80s. And she complained because the balloons didn't last very
Yeah.
long. And, she'd have to wake up at 3 in the morning if she had a lot of balloons to inflate. Valentine's Day was a nightmare. And it just happened that my father was a chemical engineer and has always been a really creative inventor kind of guy. And it's just like, can't you do something to make balloons float longer? And so he went to work in his basement shop and he did. He invented HiFloat.
It's amazing. I honestly can't really think of anything that probably changed the industry so much. I mean, can you?
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean,
you're biased, but still.
it's incredible. And if you think about it, I think I'm like, well, that's like the ultimate love story right there.
Yeah.
What a great partnership.
And I think it's important to remember that this was just made for her to use in her balloon shop. They weren't trying to start a business. They weren't trying to create what HiFloat became. He was really just trying to do something to make his wife happy. But I think because it was a product that solved a problem that a real business needed, that's part of why the company and the brand was able to become, and it still is, so successful.
Yeah, she was just going to have the best balloons in Louisville, Kentucky. And other people heard about it and came to them. Literally the easiest marketing in the history of any
Right,
product, of any
exactly.
company ever. People calling them and saying, hey, we heard you've got this stuff. Can we buy it?
Especially because back then, it was probably more about the convenience because helium was like 2 cents. Now it's $1 billion and it's more of a financial gain to use HiFloat because it's like, I can't spend this much on helium and have it last for 12 hours. You just can't.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
The time that you can save yourself, has always been a big factor. Like I've mentioned Valentine's Day, big rushes, being able to do balloons ahead of time.
Right.
But I think you're exactly right. Now that helium is as valuable a resource as it is, you want to get the most out of it.
Yeah.
If you're going to do helium, you want it to last.
Yeah. Well, what is it like working with your family? I feel like a lot of balloon people do that. Maybe not on the scale that you guys do, but there's a lot of husband and wife teams, or like Chris Adamo is here. He bought his business from his mom. I do feel like balloons are kind of this family thing. But you guys all work together.
Yeah.
How do you butt heads? Does someone pull rank? Who?
No, I think one of the coolest things about our industry, it has always been a very family-centered industry. And if you look at the balloon manufacturers, if you look at, the distributors that are in the vendor room here today, there are, moms and sons and spouses and siblings. And I think that's what's really cool
Yeah.
about our industry. But I do think too, it is, family businesses aren't easy.
Yeah.
One of the things people have always said to me, so my husband came to work at the business about 23 years ago. I had been working there so almost 10 years at the time. We had 3 kids in 4 years, and he had taken time off from his job. He just happened to be a research chemist, very convenient. I was staying at home with our kids, and my father was at a place where he's like, retiring and phasing out. And he asked my husband, "Do you want to come work in the business?" But so many people have said to me, I could never work with my spouse. I
Yeah.
just couldn't do
Yeah.
it.
So yours is just it just works for you, or are there times when you're like, "Ugh, I have to put my business hat on and like table this argument we're having about something else?" Like,
I think it's really important that people do understand their roles and that you have clearly defined roles. When my husband first came to work, my father told him, Andrea is not going to be your boss. You're not going to work for Andrea." Since that time, my parents have retired, and Philip will tell you he does work for
yeah.
Andrea. That is part of it. But he and I, we understand that, and
Yeah.
and he understands at the end of the day, I probably will get to make the final decision, but there's a lot of trust and a lot of communication. And so I think we're really good at talking to each other about that. My parents were always very good. And even now, today that they're retired, they had clearly defined roles. My
Okay.
dad used to say that their secret to working together, they've been married 60 years now.
Okay.
And they, I think it's interesting, they started the business 40 years ago. So they had already been married for 20 years
My gosh.
at the time that they
Are they
decided to
200 years old? How have they done all of this in their lifetime?
Well, but they'd already been married for 20 years.
Okay.
And so I think they probably had a pretty good foundation for I'm not sure I'd want to go to work with my spouse, day one of
Yeah.
marriage. But he used to joke that the secret to their success was he never told her what the formula to HiFloat was.
Okay.
And she never told him who our customers were. So they had to have each other.
But then
But
I think that as my brothers and I have entered the business, you and my dad have done a very good job of then creating clearly defined roles for us to where I work in marketing. One of my oldest brother, Andrew, works in logistics. Our middle brother, Jackson, he works on the production side of things so that in our day-to-day operations, we aren't really overlapping with each
Okay.
other. So there isn't a sense of competition.
Well, I was even going to ask too, like, I think husband and wife butting heads in a business is a little bit more common. I think mother-daughter or mother-son, I mean, that's got to be there too. Like, at what point are you like, I have to trust them to do their job, but also I think I know what I want and they're not doing that? Like how much do
I
you give up control or
For
how does that
me,
work?
I think emotions are definitely sometimes a little bit more intense, but at the same time, I feel like I have so much less anxiety working at High Float than I have for any of the other jobs I've had or for any other possible entry level job I could have because I know my mom and I know my dad so well. I know them, I know their personalities inside and out, and they know the same for me, and they've seen me make every mistake I could ever make in the business. I know that they would be kind, I know they would be patient, and I know that they would be forgiving.
Oh, that's
yeah,
nice.
it's so sweet. Yeah, but I can remember the first time I did something, and my mom and I were kind of butting heads, and I'm like, but I got it done. Like this is fit. It's great. It's
Right.
completed. And I remember her saying, but you didn't do it the way I would have done
Hmm.
it. And that was a learning moment for both of us that you do give up control when any business when you. I think you do with all employees, but especially if you have what you hope are future leaders coming in that are, maybe eventually even going to take the business over one day, you do have to give up some of your own ideas about the way things are done. And, even things like with a trade show booth, I'm like, this is the way the high float has been set up on a table for 20 years. You put this bottle here and this here. And there have been many times where I've said to Philip, I'm like, okay, she did it differently than I did, but it's better.
Okay.
It's better than it would have been, and I like it, and it's a little leap of faith there and I'm sure there have been times and will be more times where I will say, I'll tell myself this show. She came back the second day and I'd rearranged stuff.
Oh no.
And she gave me this look and I'm like, yeah, I did. I rearranged a few things. So sometimes I will concede that it's better and sometimes I will say, No, I still want it my way."
Yeah.
So you got to find that balance.
So then I'm putting you on the spot here. Is there any expectation or pressure for your kids to take over when you want to retire? Like, how does that work with second generation, third generation? Like, would you ever sell, or are you hoping that your kids are going to take it over? Like, do you have those conversations? That's hard.
We've
I
started having those
But I think
conversations.
growing up, there was never any expectation put upon any of us to work in the business.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
My parents were very good about, we want you to follow your passion. We want you to go to school, study your own things. And all of us did. But then it just coincidentally happened that the right roles opened up at the right time that suited our individual skill sets, that the pieces kind of fell into place. And I think it speaks a lot to the brand and the company and the work environment that my parents and my grandparents spent so long creating, that all of us wanted to come work. And all of us kind of naturally found our way back to the company and have found our places within the balloon industry. I think it speaks to what wonderful bosses you are.
Oh my gosh, you're like the nicest daughter
I'm
ever.
gonna cry. No, I would say if anything, when they were growing up, I probably had it in my head that I didn't want them to come work
Okay.
at HiFloat, because I worked for my parents for
Yeah.
30 years, and I thought, it's great, but I also want them to have their own identity. I want them to do their own thing and follow their passions and follow their dreams. And she's exactly right. It's just timing that roles were opening up. And I remember Jackson, our son who works in production, was the first one that we hired. And there was this opening, and Philip and I talked about, maybe changing the role and what kind of a candidate we were looking for. And the next day he came to me, he said, I think I know who the perfect candidate for that job is. I said, I know you're going to say Jackson.
Yeah.
I figured it out too. It's so obvious. So we had those conversations, but we've also made it really clear, coming to work, just like with any company, yes, I've worked there 30 years, but that's not a guarantee. I
Right.
mean, as with any company, you're coming in and maybe this will be your life's career, but nobody can promise you that. And so you have to be ready to think about all of your options, and just and I think we told them too, this is a mutual process. After a year or two, we may decide it's not working out on our side, but you may decide it's not working out for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be able to have those conversations with each other if any of us decide
That's
we
hard.
changed our mind.
Yeah, that's hard. How about your grandparents? Are they still involved? Are they like ever questioning what's happening, or are they curious? They're like, we don't care. We retired.
I was on the phone with my mother an hour ago, giving her the minute by minute recap
Really?
of
Oh, that's awesome.
everybody we've talked to, who danced at the party last night.
That's so funny. Are you as a marketing person, or if you're like, no, grandma, you have to, it's a real, and like, we're all just going to say and do this weird thing. You're not going to get it. Do you try to explain the
I
trends?
think that she doesn't follow that specifically so much, to more of where she wants to see us traveling and meeting her own friends, and also kind of continuing on the passion for balloons
Mm-hmm.
and the legacy that, I mean, my grandmother is the most kind, positive person you'll ever meet. She's the kind of person who like will sit down next to a stranger and they'll just tell them her life story.
Oh, okay.
And so she's such a kind person and such a role model for me. And so I think kind of trying to, at these events and through any outreach or social, I do kind of bring her spirit with me and reinvest in the community. And I think she's just happy to see us be involved.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That was a little bit of a word vomit.
No,
at the end, but
I
hope
love
the
that.
sentiment got across.
Well, and she's planning on going to float with us.
She is?
She has been to every single float.
Oh
And
my
she hasn't
gosh.
listened, so I can say she just had her 80th birthday. And she
I have to interview her. I'm bringing my
did.
stuff. I have to
Totally.
interview her.
But she said, well, am I going to go to float? I said, do you want to go to float? She said, I haven't missed one yet. I'm like, all right, we'll book you a plane ticket. So
Amazing.
she still feels very connected to the industry and her friends and the relationship.
Well, the industry's not that old. Like, it's what,
really not.
40, 50
Yeah. I mean,
years,
they
you
were
know?
right there at the beginning. But they are not involved in the day-to-day operations.
Okay.
But they do, watch Instagram and figure out, what we're doing.
That's
'cause
really
Aiden's
cool.
keeping them all.
I send them lots of pictures.
She does.
That's awesome. Well, I want to switch gears for just this last part here, but it's about like a product-based business. I feel like that's something a lot of balloon people don't know, because we have a service-based business.
Mhm.
But like your mom and your dad, they knew the industry so well because they worked in it and they created this product that solved this problem. And I think that it's kind of happening. Like every once in a while, you'll see someone come out with a product that's like we need this, and they
Mhm.
invent it. Or I can't even think of an example off the top of my head, but even like the popping wands,
Yeah.
like they open up
Also,
and you
the
strike
shine.
them.
Well, the Shine
The
product.
Shine
Yeah.
products, right? I feel like a lot of our big things are created from within the industry, but I would imagine that's incredibly difficult to like manufacture a product. Or like, what would your advice be? Like, don't do it. It's too much work. Or like, just keep taking steps forward if someone has something they want to
Yeah,
bring to life.
I do have lots of thoughts about that because one of the things we've been making HiFloat for 40 years, and every time we go to something, people say, "Oh, do you have anything new coming out?" And it's like HiFloat was kind of a unicorn of a product. Like
Yes,
that doesn't happen every day.
exactly.
And so we've been very slow as a company to add additional products because we want to make sure they're going to be good and quality products.
And we
But
don't want to make anything that we can't make better.
exactly, exactly. But to your point, it's a huge investment to make a new product.
Yeah.
And so people come up to me all the time. They're like, I have an idea. You should do this. And I'm like, that is a nice idea. And I think I would sell 10 of those.
Yeah.
And so I definitely think the key to a good product is solving a problem,
Mhm.
finding a need, figuring out, and nobody knows better than the people who are doing the job every day what would make their job easier. But you do have to think about, is this scalable? Is
Right.
this something that people are really going to want? And unfortunately, I think with a lot of the great ideas with our industry, fortunately and unfortunately, they are things that, well, somebody can just go kind of make that gadget for themselves.
Yes. Especially now with like 3D printers and
Yeah,
stuff, some of those things.
so you can invest a lot of money to mass produce something, but is it something that somebody's going to be able to just go make for them?
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So is there anything on your radar? I mean, not new products, but like, is there something coming up in the next year or two that we should have our eyes out for? Where will you be? What are you guys working on?
We have lots of travel. The greatest thing for all of us, but also for the company, is with adding 3 more people, we can be a lot more places.
Oh, okay.
Because we are a small company and a small family, and
Right.
so it's like we can't be everywhere all at once. But Aiden and I are going to be at Float, so we're very excited about that. Jackson will be with us and my mom. Philip and Andrew will be at the Toy Fair in Nuremberg at the
Okay.
same time, which is an amazing show. Lots of fun. What else do we have coming up? Where else are you going to be?
Dad and Andrew are going to be in Brazil.
They're going to Brazil.
Mhm.
You're going to be at the Deco Lovers graduation.
Yes, in Miami.
Yeah.
That's
so
exciting. I mean, and I think that speaks to how universal your product is.
Mhm.
And we didn't even talk about HiShine. I would say that was another game changer. I mean, you solved all the problems. You can make the balloons last longer and look better longer. And what else do you need? But I feel like you wouldn't be all of those places and all of those countries if this product wasn't beloved and you guys weren't beloved.
Oh, thank you.
Yesterday how it's amazing that we've made a product that can be used as a verb. You high flip.
Oh yeah. Did you high float these? Yes.
And I think it's just really speaks to such an amazing legacy.
Mhm.
You
I feel like
I have to say, so they listen so much, they know the final 3 questions that I haven't been doing. And they were like, are you asking us the final 3
I have
questions?
answers to
What
all
are
the
your
questions.
answers? Answer the final 3 since you literally
Okay, here
came
are my
prepared.
questions that I like it when you ask people where they like to travel.
See, I don't even have to ask the questions.
So where do you like to travel? I'm going to take over the podcast. Where do you like to travel? Aiden?
I like to travel to New York.
Now, do you ask where do people like to travel, or do you ask where do they like to vacation?
Vacation.
It's-
Because New York, you live in New York,
it's a
don't you?
distinction.
Yes.
I liked traveling to New York so much. I'm living there.
Okay.
Where do we like to
See,
vacation?
and we're here right now
We
in
don't
Orlando.
vacation.
We don't vacation. We work travel.
Well, right.
But I will say, I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. That's where HiFloat is made. All the HiFloat in the world, all the HiShine in the world has been manufactured in Louisville, Kentucky. And if you live there in the kind of Midwest, where you go to Florida for
Yes.
vacation. I like a beach.
Yeah.
Any beach.
I don't like the beach.
No, she's
I don't
not a
like
beach person.
sand and then the ocean water. I like to look at the beach. I
Like
don't
visible
like to
water.
actually go on.
I'm kind of the same. How about a favorite thing that you've purchased recently?
Do you have anything good that you purchased recently?
I've been getting lots of compliments on my clothes since I've been here, but I rent my clothes.
Oh, say more.
For the shows because like I'm traveling so much and like there's like a theme night, like there's jungle night and there's Columbia night, where it's like I don't want to buy.
So who do you rent through?
I use Newly.
Newly. I've been hearing good things about. Ooh, that's a good hack. I love that because
So,
especially
like,
this year,
it's
there's been
this
so many
bright green
events.
suit where it's like I don't want to buy a bright green suit that I'm only probably gonna wear 6 times a year on
I
an
love it. That's a
event.
great tip.
And also like I'm very much like I'm scared of commitment and like shopping for clothes and like spending money on pieces. I'm like I don't want to have to commit to a shirt,
That's
and
so
so
funny.
that I don't shop very much. I find my ways to get around it. What about you?
Well, on the travel theme, I haven't found it yet. I commit to things, but then I don't want them. I'm in search of the perfect carry-on travel bag.
Mm.
And so I bought many
Okay.
over the last year, and I haven't found the right one yet. So
Oh.
I keep looking.
Mhm.
That's the thing I need. I need other people to comment on your Instagram and tell me they're perfect.
All of our
They're
travelers out
perfect.
there.
Here, yeah, because I want a roller
Send
bag.
us a
Yeah.
message.
I have a nice backpack. I like my backpack, but I want a good roller bag as a carry-on.
And then last question, and this is a really a good one that, I think people get a lot out of. And that's like a small piece of advice for listeners when it comes to running their business.
I think, and we were actually talking about this earlier, and it ties back to the family business thing too, that one of the biggest challenges is separating when you're looking at your business, kind of the facts from the feelings.
Oh, okay.
And, there are often times where we're talking about, should we go to this trade show? Should we do this? And Aiden will say, because she's marketing, this is her, she'll say, that would be so fun. That would be so cool. That would be so neat. But then we have to say, okay, but does that make sense? Even going back to, all these great product ideas that we have, that I would love to make that. I would love to offer that. But is it going to make sense?
Right.
And even though I, want to be inventive and exciting and have new products, what are the actual facts? And so I think that that's something that's really important for people to look at. I mean, you have to do the math. You have to really look at the numbers and say, as much fun as it would be to take that job or to do that installation or to work for that client, does that actually make
Yes.
sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do I get to give my own advice?
Sure.
So working in social media, I feel like I see a lot of balloon businesses specifically kind of try to recreate what they see a lot of these bigger brands doing successfully, which is virality. But I feel like if you're having a business page and you're marketing a business, virality isn't always the goal. And so while having some like funny short form like content that is mimicking what goes viral is fun and does create personality from your brand, I feel like a lot of a lot of businesses need to take a step back and focus on here are the products I'm offering, here are the services I'm offering, this is the type of content that will attract my ideal client. And so really being intentional about what you're posting and who you want to see it rather than I want to make something that will get the highest quantity of people to see it
Yeah.
is kind of an important mindset to have.
I love that. I think people we were in another class talking about social media and someone was like, I only have like 300 followers. And in my head, I was like,
So many
but imagine if all of them booked you. You'd have a job almost every single day of the year, So it's like you don't need the multi-thousands. You don't need the things to go viral. I love that advice.
See, that ties back to my facts versus feelings. It may feel great to see
Yes.
something go viral, but is that actually going to translate into sales?
Right. I love it. Well, thank you, ladies, for taking the time. It's always nice to have someone from the HiFloat team on. I can't wait to connect with you again soon.
Thanks.